Hello and welcome back to another Schnapps Review. Today I'm gonna talk about I Can Only Imagine, which is a movie about this person who wants to make music and does make a hit song, but his relationship with his father is awful. And so it's based off of a real story. And it's music. The song I Can Only Imagine, which is the same title as the movie, it was a hit song back in the 90s and made it to like pretty high place for a Christian song, because most Christian songs usually don't go on. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going off assumptions. But anyways, the movie starts off with just him, main character. I forgot his name. I'm gonna look this up. Just being a normal kid, just having a fun imagination. When he gets home, he has like this space helmet he made out of cardboard, and he's pretty happy. His mom's pretty happy, but his dad came in. He was a ex-football player, I think in high school or college, when he stopped. He wanted to make it big time, but it just didn't happen. So then, the kid come home. When the kid came home, let me get his name. Bot. And the father's name's Arthur. And those would be the characters we were talking about mostly. When When Bot came home, he noticed that his dad showed all his trophies and pictures of football. He sees Bot with this space helmet. He takes it from him and burns it in fire. Late that night, Arthur beats his wife, and the next day, Bot's mother sends him to a Bible camp. I'm gonna call it Bible camp. For a week. So this is the point of the movie where it's kind of a little, just like the camp scenes is a little bad, because he comes there, makes two friends immediately, and I mean like immediately, and one of those friends has a crush on him immediately. And so that part of the exposition, just the whole camp scene, it's extremely rushed, and it's just pretty rushed, and it doesn't flow nicely. And so that's the worst part of the movie, it's just the exposition. When Bot comes home after one of his best weeks in his life, which I can relate, because I went to a Bible camp and it was one of the pretty good weeks of my life, because I made a lot of new friends and stuff. But anyways, when he comes home, he realizes his mom has left, and he barely sees her through for the next like 15 years or so. So Arthur tells Bot to stop imagining stuff and grow up, live in the real world, and actually work. He does want him to become a football player, but Bot breaks both his ankles and can no longer play. Now this is the point where the exposition stopped and everything is at a normal pace for a movie about someone's life. So, Bart and his father have a pretty bad relationship. Most of what Bart can remember of his father is him beating him up. And once it's kind of hard to watch, and because it's not that great of what Arthur does. In one scene, he takes a plate and smacks it across Bart's head, causing him to bleed. And after that point, Bart left, and then he came back for a while. So he doesn't join up with a band. He was working at like a bar or something, and he joins up with a band. They do some music and stuff. Nothing really big. Probably in one audience, Bart just does what he feels natural in singing, and sings like a delicious song which everyone starts liking. And the future manager saw this and says, "You're doing great. Do this more often." Because people are loving it, which they do. So they travel about the place, trying to build up their audience, and it does work. When they end up in Nashville, I'm not sure at what event, they have a bunch of CEOs and music companies listen to them. So, and throughout this time, Bart is trying to contact the girl that had a crush on him from camp, because they were dating for a while. But when Bart just left because of his father, he doesn't talk about what happened with anyone. He just left her, and he's trying to contact her and fix things back up together. But sadly, during that event in Nashville, they do not get any record deals. And so Bart starts having flashbacks of all the time his father is saying, stop dreaming and actually do something. And so this caused Bart to get mad. He runs in the back, sits down, and his manager talks to him for a little bit and says, take some time off to do what you need to do. So that's what Bart does. He goes back home just to confront his father, and he stays there for the night without seeing him. And then the next morning, there's breakfast on the table, and his father's trying to make up for what he does by saying, hey, let's do this and stuff. Kind of reminds me of the song Cat in the Cradle, but not really, because the father in that song was not abusive. Anyways, Bart's not gonna take it, because all he can recall of his father is either beating him up or beating up his mother, and that's really not a great thing. So when Bart got up and to leave, he realized he went into the car, but when he opened like this thing, he saw a pamphlet for cancer in the pancreas. It's pancreatic cancer? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. He goes back into the house and sees his father just laying down, and he asks him, why have you changed? He said, because that one day, like, it was the day when he left, he listened to his son sing, then heard a voice, and it kind of changed him. So Bart and Arthur do go through a change. Bart is trying to forgive him from all the abuse that happened for the majority of his life, and Arthur just wants to spend time with his son before he passes away. So, Bart manages to forgive him, even though he doesn't really want to. And him and his father have a pretty good time together. They fix the Jeep. They go to church. Like I saw this movie 2 weeks ago, so I'm jogging on my memory. So eventually, Arthur isn't able to do much anymore, and passes away. Now, this just takes up the big chunk of the story. I would say about half or 60% of the movie. And during that time, it's pretty emotional. Trust me, I didn't like his father one bit, but he managed to forgive him. His father managed to change character. And so at the time, it's pretty emotional. Like, I was tearing up. Like, this movie, Love, Simon, Toy Story 3, Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, and probably 2 other movies made me cry. And this is one of them. Well, I didn't start tearing up. Well, I teared up, but didn't cry. But it's pretty emotional. Them just trying to patch things up. Eventually, his father dies, and Bart now has respect for him, which he says, I'm quoting as best as I can. He said, my father was the man I hated the most, I never wanted to be, but as time went on, when he changed, I wanted to become the man he is now than the man he was. So, after that, gets back with his band, and then, realized he wrote down a couple of words, I can only imagine, and starts making a song about that, but for his father. So, some higher ups heard that song and say, hey, we want, I think it's Cary Grant, but I'm not sure. Something Grant. She's a Christian singer. I'm not sure what her first name is. The record company wants her to sing it, and when she's about to sing it live for the first time, this is before the records were even sent to companies, she said, no, this is not a song that I can sing. It's a song that Bart wrote. It's meant for his father. He sings it, and unknown to him, his girlfriend was also there. They hook back up together. The song changes people's lives, moves up to the top of the billboards, and the rest is history. So, I would say I know it's a little difficult to make a story based off someone's life, since you have to cut out some stuff and probably add some stuff and speed up the process. Everything else was pretty well done, except for the exposition, which was, and I mean the camp exposition, all the way up until Bart breaks his ankles. That was probably the most rushed exposition I've seen. There is some time skip, which does help, but it was rushed in a little bit, and that's probably the only downside of the movie. And I know there's going to be some audience that probably would never like Arthur ever again from what he did to his son. But the story is mostly just Arthur changing who he was to become a better man, and Bart trying to forgive him. That's mainly the story. And does take a long... It might seem like it takes a long time to get to that part, but like Grant said to Bot, he wrote the song in 10 or 20 minutes. She said, you didn't wrote the song in that amount of time. It took you your whole life. Because it starts off with his dad being abusive, then he's trying to change, Bot trying to forgive him. They bury the past and move on to the future, which is the story. But it's pretty great. It has some good messages. Soundtrack's pretty darn good. I don't listen to a lot of music myself, but I like movie soundtracks, and I can say this one's pretty good. And yeah, the only downside, like I said, was the exposition of the camp all the way to him breaking both his ankles. So, if you haven't seen this movie, go and see it. Even the creator of the movie, the director, said, if you want to see it, bring your friends. If you love the movie, bring more friends. If you hate the movie, still bring friends just to make them mad. Which kind of amused me. My friend Sarah Beggs will know what I'm talking about with that kind of trailer. Overall, I will also rate it 8 out of 9. No, probably the exposition loses me the most. I would say 8.5 out of 10. So, anyways, hope you guys have a nice day, and see you later.